Okay, we are on session 18, Ignite, our 2023 session, and we're talking about negotiating offers. All right, this is a list of all of the sessions we have done. We covered being the real estate expert, what lead generation looks like, what lead follow-up looks like, and now we're in the last few sessions of the transaction. So today we're going to talk about negotiating offers. So first on our agenda, we're going to talk about what is a negotiation, the 3 P's of negotiation, and some negotiation tips before we wrap up today. Lee Steinberg, sports agent and author, says negotiating is not something to be avoided or feared. It's an everyday part of life. All right, so negotiation and the Y4C2Ts. We have talked about this a few times, and it really relates to negotiation because we believe in win-win. We believe in having integrity, that the customers come first, that we follow commitment in all things. We communicate to understand. We believe in teamwork, trust, and success results through people. And that's very important when you're working through a negotiation. Sometimes our clients and customers have ideas that we don't really jive with, and we really have to be clear on communication and expectation. Sometimes they have things they want us to do that are against ethics and our integrity. No one deal is more important than our integrity. And then also the other side. So the co-op agent and other partners that help the transaction go smoothly, we have to have win-win situation there as well. All right, so there's 2 paths to a negotiation. Of course, this is after the offer is presented. So first of all, you have an offer, it is accepted, and it closes. That is simple, and it is not typical. The second one is there's an offer, it's either rejected or countered. Negotiation begins, and then again, it's either accepted or rejected, and then the situation closes or you get to a close. The only way you get to a close in offer option 2 is if you have the listing. Sometimes that offer can be rejected and they place another offer, or you counter that offer. And there's a lot of opportunity to negotiate in the middle of a deal. It's not just at the beginning. Here are the people you negotiate with. Now, believe it or not, your clients, okay? You're sitting across from a seller. They have an idea of what their house should sell for. Oftentimes, this idea is just a number they've made up. Or say they've done remodeling and they said, oh, we put $30,000 in this house for remodeling. So whatever your value, your CMA, your market value says, we're going to add $30,000 on it because we've done this remodel. And that's just not accurate. So you have to have that conversation with them. You have to have the conversation about your compensation, what that looks like. And then you also have agents on the other side of the transaction that you need to negotiate with and communicate with. And I just don't feel like you can communicate too much. Sometimes people lose the opportunity to work with a client or to take a listing because of their lack of communication. So overly communicate, make sure you and that other agent are on the same page for sure when you're in the middle of a transaction. All right, so here's some common points of negotiation. First, of course, primarily we have price. What is the cost of property? What are they going to pay for it? And then terms. So financial terms are important. Time-based terms are important. And then any other additional special terms as well. All right, the 3 P's of negotiation. So we want to prepare. We want to build confidence and ensure a smooth negotiation process. And how we prepare is we make sure that we have the CMA. We make sure we know what the financial situation is for either the buyer or the seller, whomever we're working with, and we understand their motivation. That is so, so important. And then you present. So you move into negotiation by presenting your offer, and then position. So that is where the negotiation is. Picture yourself and anyone you come in contact with. This is from the Shift book, on a spectrum from yes to no. And oftentimes people are in the middle, and they kind of hover in the middle, and we accept it as a no, and it may not be a no. With more questions and more clarity, you can get back towards that yes and get back to common ground. So you want to make sure that there's clarity, that you understand, and then you have a full agreement. If there's not a full agreement and it's not win-win, you're not in a good place to negotiate. So prepare, present, and position. All right, when you prepare, you want to know your goal. You want to know your client. I talked about the motivation. Think ahead, set clear expectations, be informed, obey the laws, and know the documents. Jimmy Ann teaches a documents class. Outside of that, print them off, look at the checklist, familiarize yourself with the tools of your trade. Those handful of documents have the ability to make you very, very wealthy. Make sure you know them. They also have the ability to, if you don't know them, slip you up, create problems in a deal. Just make sure you're very familiar with those, okay? You want to ask purposeful questions. So when you're looking at the documents, when you're looking at your discussion with your client, know the points you're going to negotiate on. It helps by knowing their motivation and where they stand, because then those are the cards you have to play with. It provides insight in where your client will have leverage. It helps you set clear expectations. It allows you to know the client and their goal, and then again, it helps learn what's going to make it a win-win for them. All right, there's a difference in open and closed-ended questions. So open-ended questions have unlimited response options. This is a great one right here. What additional information should I know? What is important about closing 30 days for you? What is important about closing in the next 2 weeks, whatever their time frame is? And how do you feel about that? That's super important. Closed-ended questions. It expects typically a yes or no, one-word response. So, do you have to sell your home by a specific date? Do you have any other offers? And what is the bottom line price you would consider? So that those are more closed-end questions. There are what and why questions. What would happen if we didn't close in 30 days? Why is it important to you to close in 30 days? Both of them help you anticipate the next steps and get more information. All right. You want to make sure a good thing to practice, and a MAPS coach told me this one time, write out questions. Like as you think of them, write out questions so that you will be familiar in different ways to ask things. You may get a different answer depending on how you phrase the question. All right, present. Best practices when presenting: call the other agent. We already mentioned this. A lot of times, the other agent will give you a lot more information just by simply talking to them. You want to pay attention to nonverbal cues like pauses and voice qualities. You want to keep quiet once you present an offer. You want to listen carefully to what's important to the other party. You want to stay calm and relaxed. Focus on the customer's need and give your offer the best chance. We talked about making sure that there is a read receipt, that there's an expected timeline on response, that you possibly include a summary in your email of what the offer is, and tell them to call with any questions. You talk through your offer before you send it. All those things help clarify when you're presenting an offer. And when you're the buyer agent, you have to trust the seller agent, the listing agent, to turn around and communicate the offer well to their seller. All right. You want to position yourself. You want to acknowledge and affirm common ground, ask what and how questions, know that positioning is a process, and know when to walk away. that last one is super tough. Sometimes you kind of get in the situation and it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you really have to check in with your clients and say, is this, a hill you're willing to die on, essentially, not actually, but, is this house, is this property worth the risk? Because if not, then yeah, you can walk away and you can go find their next opportunity. But if so, you need to kind of know when to really bear down and make sure that you have positioned yourself at best you can. A lot of this, guys, comes with communication with the co-op agent. It really, really does say, man, my client wants this property, and what do we need to do to make it happen? And oftentimes they'll lay it out for you. All right, so negotiation tips. This is going to be a short one today. Let's talk about some tips. First of all, be professional. This is super obvious, I feel like. Keep your goal in mind, which is your customer to come first. That is your goal, your fiduciary duty. You want to pay attention to your communication and tone. It can get heated. Take a deep breath. I've talked about this before. If there is a crisis situation and someone calls you with a crisis, don't just turn around and immediately call your client. Take a minute, take a beat, take a breath, come up with some solutions to the situation, then give them a call or communicate with them. You want to continually refer to your client's motivation when speaking to them. That keeps them on target, and it's called emotional proximity. You don't want to reveal too much. Listen more than talk, and keep your client's motivation close to your chest. And this is part of your fiduciary duty as well. Keep confidential what should be confidential. And then don't be attached to the outcome. This is why, guys, it's so important to have a pipeline of business, because if you got that one deal working and that one deal is what's going to pay your mortgage, you are hinging on the outcome of that. And we're working with people, and we're working with a lot of people. We've got to come to terms. There's deep financial situations. And if something happens and they choose to not close, or it can't close, or whatever, then you're hinging all of your business and your livelihood on one deal. And it's hard not to get emotional. It's hard not to be attached to that. Build a pipeline, build your database, guys. That's what I've been preaching to you guys for almost 20 weeks at this point. Build your database, love on people, build relationships, tell them you're there to help them, and get yourself a pipeline going. All right, so that wraps up today's session. It's a very short session today. We want to talk about our ahas to achievement. How has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets are new? How do you feel differently? I hope that negotiations now, it's making you feel a little more confident in that. How will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions will you take? I sincerely hope that you guys start doing the best you can to memorize those documents and see why they're important. What tools, models, or systems will you use, and how will they make you accountable? I hope that today's session was great for you. We've got one more to go, and we will be done with our 2023 Ignite session. As a reminder, our daily success system is 10 real estate conversations. Add those 10 contacts to command, write 10 handwritten notes, do your 10-5-1 on social media, which is 10 likes, 5 comments, and 1 message in social media, and make sure that you are staying up to date with all the training and things at the office. Thanks.